Good morning and welcome to International Hawk Migration Week. And this morning we're going to talk to you a little bit about red-tailed hawks. This is Bagheera. Bagheera is a red-tailed hawk. Let me show you why we call him a red-tailed hawk. You can see that beautiful red tail right there. And there's a couple ways we can identify red-tailed hawks. First of all, obviously it's a red-tailed hawk. And then it's the belly band across his chest. And then if you look when he spreads his wings up really high, they're called patagial marks. And it's kind of that brown comma that they have. Mr. Bagheera is actually an eastern red-tailed hawk. We got him from somebody who was doing Robbie, who was doing the Renaissance Festival. A falconer. So we got him from a falconer. And what happened was Bagheera decided he really didn't want to be a falconry bird anymore. So they asked us if we wanted to take him in as an education bird. And of course we agreed because he's just a beautiful education bird. A couple of really fun facts about red-tailed hawks. First of all, they are predators of rattlesnakes. So they will actually spread their wings just like he did there, entice the rattlesnake will coil up, he'll spring toward their feathers. Well, there's not a lot in their feathers, right? And that gives them the window to take that really strong talon and grab them right in the mouth. And then once he gets them in the mouth, it's pretty much history for the rattlesnake. So there's only a few of those. The roadrunner's another one, and the red-tailed hawks, and there's also king snakes that are also predators of rattlesnakes. But you want these guys in your neighborhood if you have a rattlesnake problem, believe me. So he actually has really good vision. He can see really well. If on top of a 10-story building, he could actually watch a mouse walk by. And that's really important to him because he really eats more mice and other birds. And you can see over his eyes, he's kind of got that cap, and it's kind of that shade. It's kind of like you wearing a ball cap. And it helps him with the glare of the sun so that he can actually hunt really well, because it's all about eyesight with him with hunting. He really doesn't have a good sense of smell. But I know we're talking about migration this week, so let me bring in another bird who is also a red-tailed hawk, but as you'll notice, she might be a little bit bigger, and we'll have Claudia talk a little bit about migration.
All right, you want to bring him back over here.
Okay.
And
I might go in front.
yeah, we're gonna violate the social distancing here for just a minute. We want you to see the size difference between the male and the female. So there's quite a bit. In the raptor world, the female is about 30% bigger, and we know that by their weight and of course their size. And the red-tailed hawk, that is very, very evident. This is Sky, and she is a female. Thank you, Doris. She's from the West Coast. Now, the West Coast birds tend to be bigger and darker in color. If you remember back with Bagheera, he had a very light-colored front. Sky has a little bit darker one. She's an imprint, and she was raised by someone taken from the nest and raised in captivity. So she's imprinted on people and can't be released back into the wild. Now, even imprinted birds feel the drive to migrate. A lot of people think just because they're raised not really as a pet, but like a pet, that they don't feel that. They do. And when the migration season comes around, spring and fall, they have hormonal changes and they want to go. And we see this in our birds with their behaviors. They get very antsy, they get restless. Some of them even trying to make nests in their enclosures. Now, this bird would fly along the West Coast migratory path, and they go from as far north as Canada all the way down into Mexico. Some even go all the way to South America. The East Coast birds tend to go down into Florida and will actually fly across the Gulf of Mexico, or more often, they follow the Gulf coastline and go down through Central America, through an area called Veracruz. So for those of you who are very interested in the migration, Google up Veracruz hawk migration. It's a narrow part of Central America in southern Mexico that is very narrow. It's bordered by water, oceans, and mountains, and they get hundreds of thousands of birds migrating through there. So it's really a very interesting phenomenon. During migration, they stop along the way and they eat, they rest, but they can fly several hundred miles a day. And it's not all flapping. A lot of people think that they're flapping the whole time. No, they're not. What they're doing is they're finding thermals or updrafts of warm air, and they're finding a river of wind in that draft They tuck their wings in, and like a jet fighter, they ride that wave maybe 100 miles, and they don't flap during the whole time. Now, why do they migrate? A lot of people think, well, why do they migrate? It's all about food. Food and nesting. In the spring, it's about nesting, finding the prime nesting site, and food to feed your babies. In the fall, it's all about food. Because if you're up in the northern area, like in Canada, the prey that you normally eat, primarily rodents and a lot of birds, start to hibernate in the winter. And so these birds will move a little bit further south to where the animals are not hibernating. We tend to call that a frost line migration. And they may go down to Washington, then they go to Oregon, then they're into California. Many of them stop in very moderate climates like they do in Arizona, and they spend the winter here. The others tend to go even further south, and then they find plenty of food for the winter. They do this twice a year, which I find just fascinating, especially if you have a place where you've got plenty of food and the temperature is moderate. Why not stay? But these birds are hardwired by Mother Nature to go to where they were born and where they historically know there's going to be food and possibly a mate. Oftentimes these birds return to a site where last year's mate is come back to that territory. Not all of them mate for life. Many do stay together for a lifetime until something happens to the other one. All right. So Sky has the very typical red tail characteristics. She's got that beautiful red tail. She's got lots of dappling on the back. And what a lot of people don't see is look at the back of her head. She's got like a little black dot with some white. And not a lot of people see that, especially when she ruffles her feathers. You can see that white much more. All right. Doris, did you have anything else to add to this?
Well, the one thing that we didn't talk about is the sound that they make. I totally forgot about. So that's the last thing, and we can wrap up then. So, everybody watches movies, and the old Western movies, you guys all hear that, and actually even commercials now. You see commercials with the Jeeps going up the mountains, and you hear that, "Aww." That didn't sound good, did it? You guys could do better. That is the sound, actually, of a red-tailed hawk. The eagles actually make more of a bugling sound. So Hollywood decided that's not really cool. So we're going to dub over the sound of a red-tailed hawk. So the next time you see a commercial or watch a movie and you hear that nice, brilliant sound, you can tell people, which I do to my husband every night, hey, that's really the sound of a red-tailed hawk. So you learned something new today. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening in and joining us. We'll see you later.